What's up, everybody? We're back again. Chris and I here for Warp Charge Gaming.
Episode maybe 44.
Maybe 44. I'm George, and we are live from Battlegrounds. This is where we host our shows now. It's where we host everything. Cause
you live a lot of your life here, sir.
I pretty much live here now, and I like it. Whenever you are a gaming channel, it's nice to be around a lot of gamers, and that's why we moved our crew into the gaming store. Not to mention Battlegrounds has been gracious and crucial to everything being awesome. They've really helped us out with a lot of backing us up through these this past year here with a lot of events. You know, we've done over 16 events now, Chris.
That's a fair bit of events. I mean, you know, like that's more than there are months in the year.
And what's pretty sick about that is that we're moving to we're doing 2 events a month now, and we're down to even doing it on a regular basis to where we're hosting our own tournament league.
That's crazy.
So it's pretty much like having our own circuit, just like there's the ITC. We're totally ITC official every time. Big believers in the independent tournament circuit format, spearheaded by Frontline Gaming.
It's weird seeing Chris more than a foot away from the camera.
Yeah, you're usually very like, rah, 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 rah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. I'm often on the cell phone cam from my humble abode, but the game store is close to my home.
Yeah.
I'd rather just ignore some of our tech difficulties on my end and show up in person.
It's pretty cool. I enjoy having you here. Chicken Bone, can you hear us okay? We're still always figuring out the audio formations here in the store. But yeah, we got our own tournament league. The ITC is the independent tournament circuit hosted by Frontline Gaming. It's a great system.
We have a tournament coming up this weekend.
Exactly. Just like you saw the dates there, the first weekend of every month we're holding a 40k tournament. We're in season 1 of our tournament league, and it's called the Battle in the Warp, and we're wanting to be an ongoing historical thing. We're gonna have t-shirts like a rock show style concert series shirt. You are twice as good now as you ever were in the house. Oh
my God. I already have a huge ego, Chicken Bone. I appreciate you.
Excellent, excellent. But yeah, we're doing tournaments every month, and they're going to count towards the overall grand prize. We've actually had, I'm very excited to be announced. We haven't told people on a regular way yet, besides our friends at home that watch the channel, about how we're going to have a commissioned painting company. I'm still not going to reveal the name. Offer free painting to those that win the league.
Free painting?
Yeah, it's gonna be like a model, like a commander.
Listen, man.
But when it costs like $200+ to get a single character painted, it's gonna be a sweet prize.
Especially, yeah. You know, I mean, that's. You know, I have my centerpiece models, but I know that I'm limited by my own skill. You know, like, I'm not saying I'm one of the people that like commission paints a lot of their army, but for some of my favorite models, if I could have a painter put $200 worth of work into some of those models.
If there's anybody to make shiny, it's the characters, right?
Absolutely.
There's definitely some characters I'm gonna need to make shiny now, because I just got into playing Age of Sigmar, man.
What is that?
We were just live on Twitch a moment ago with our first bat rep of me playing Age of Sigmar.
I don't understand the last few words you
said.
Yeah,
it's Age of Sigmar, and I'm thrilled.
What a strange collection of sounds.
You know, the thing that's awesome about it, man, is demons, particularly Khorne. These models I've had sitting on the shelf for over a year now due to the 8th edition. To take a look at this beautiful Age of Sigmar army. This is my murder host.
I was gonna say I was not next to George playing a game somewhere else in the store, and came upon George and just heard him chanting "tooth and claws, tooth and claws."
Yeah.
And I knew he was excited about what he was gaming. So
yes,
it's actually made me more curious about Sigmar.
It is fun as hell.
A lot of people tell me that though.
For those that are familiar, and just to continue to instill the rules in my head, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my list here. In Age of Sigmar, there's War Scroll battalions. They're like old school formations, but you got to pay the points for them.
Something that I personally always thought was an issue in 40k and 7th edition. I thought it was ridiculous to have.
Oh, I just get this for free.
I mean, yeah. It kind of made it too obvious to always pick formations over non-formations.
It's true. You definitely have to think about it. Actually, today I did not take a formation because I wanted to use the points towards extra firepower.
Exactly.
And I missed the formation though. It is nice. What this War Scroll battalion does with the murder host is that if I max out the
Chicken Bone.
Historicals.
I will not be playing Axis and Allies anytime
we
soon.
actually do plan to show some bolt action.
You're dead to me.
This store has a large bolt action following, and there's some great terrain here and good looking armies, so we do plan on showing a little bit of that in the future as we continue to spread our wings with diversity. The variety is the spice of life. But let me tell you about my murder host here. So if you take a max one, you only got to take 3 units. You take your leader and your 3 units to go with them. But if you take a max of 8 of these units and you fill out the full battalion, and you
does that number have anything to do with anything?
Oh, you know, it's corn.
Oh, okay.
But it means we get to do our War Scroll ability every turn instead of just once. And what that is that before the movement phase, everybody in my army with
D6 inches.
2d6 inches.
2d6 inches.
So turn 1, everybody in my army moves 2d6 inches.
This is one of the few things about Sigmar I've actually heard a little bit about.
It's bonkers.
But having that explained is significant.
I mean, getting to do that, you basically get turn 1 charge with your huge.
I mean, if you're an assaulty army, if you can move 2d6 on every unit,
and then an 8-inch move after that.
That's disgusting.
Plus reroll charges. It's fantastic.
It doesn't take someone with much of, you know, like a breadth of combat tactics to understand that makes you extremely fast.
Yeah, it's really fun utilizing the auras and combos of abilities. I have slaughter priests who do prayers and blessings instead of sorcery.
I saw a little bit of that too. That was interesting.
They're very cool. A little bit different than rolling your standard 2d6 to cast a power. But highly enjoyed it. I could rant and rave about my old Blood for the Blood God. Basically, the coolest thing is I get the Blood Tithe points back, like back in 7th edition Demonkin. So as I die or kill, Khorne cares not, and I stack up Blood Tithe points for summoning.
Khorne cares not.
Age of Sigmar, summoning doesn't cost points. So I'm just straight in like throwing in with Blood Tithe points, Blood Crushers and Blood Thirsters.
Oh, that's right, but it doesn't cost points for anybody.
No.
Because everyone can do it.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
It's
I remember reading about that.
It's really neat how they make everybody's crazy in their own way, and they make it in a way that everybody has a unique style. So it's not just like, oh, everybody can summon us all the same way. Everybody summons in a unique method. Tzeentch does it the more they cast powers. Khorne does it the more they kill things.
That makes sense.
Death does it. They like resurrect dead things. It's pretty sick. They do a great job of making just everything crazy so that there's always some viability. Like a lot of times what will happen with a newbie player.
What a Black Tower
Yo,
terrain.
always good to see you, man. You're a regular now. Appreciate you.
Wow.
The thing is like when a new player reads their rules in Age of Sigmar, they're like, this is crazy. This is broken. You're screwed, man.
Until they see other people's rules and they're like, oh, wait.
Oh, wait. Everyone can do some crazy
Everyone's
shenanigans.
Redonkulous.
Mortal wounds are like candy in that game. They just go around like nuts. And like the demons don't have invulns in Age of Sigmar, but they also just have a standard default leadership 10. So they go from having like a leadership 7 in 40k and are just bravery or leadership 10.
I don't understand this world.
It's pretty wild.
I now understand why the designers nuked it once.
Nah, it's honestly, you know, I dare say it's a better game. That's what I said when I first learned it, and that's what a lot of converts that go from 40k to Sigmar say.
You know, all honesty, you know, put forward, I have heard nothing but good things about everyone who's engaged Sigmar. No one that I've talked to, especially people that came from the 40k or even the 30k system, have had any negative complaints about the game. It seems like it's a well put together game. I am just intrigued because I have a lot of points invested into a different game system.
Hey, yeah, luckily I have 3 crossover armies because of the demons, you know.
Certainly.
Khorne, Tzeentch,
I have
and
a little bit of crossover.
Nurgle, right.
I have a little bit.
I have some Slaanesh, we can make this work.
I'm not opposed to playing the game more, but I know that currently I have things that I need to invest in that are currently more 40k centric.
It's a really good time. If anything, Chris, I just want you to play more Kill Team and Gaslands is cool. That's another great game that we just got into recently.
You gotta play more Kill Teams though.
I didn't want to show you this flyer. There's a new flyer. We have a Kill Team Arena tournament going on March 23rd. It's going to be our first arena tournament.
Oh, God.
One thing I'm super excited about is that I've been working on measuring out the entire 4 Kill Team boards for arena. And
Is that nonsense I've seen?
Yeah, with the numbers everywhere. Yeah, we're working on mapping out the walls that are inside the arena board set, probably Rogue Trader as well, so that we can 3D print from Tabletop Alchemy full 3-dimensional boards. Because right now it's just 2D, and that takes arena and puts it on the. Like if people aren't simulating walls in arena.
No, I mean, you know, like we can't see it behind us, but like even seeing in the glass case, all of the like 3D terrain for stuff like Shadespire and whatnot, like all of that stuff enhances the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like you want to feel like these are. Hey, what's up, Cat?
Yep, Cat said hi.
You want to feel like these are immersive world. I mean, it's the same reason why we don't like people to show up with armies that, you know, don't have arms and are not prime. David Heat.
Oh.
Not reverse to 40k. That's I can understand that. I mean,
Yeah.
So one of our commenters is mentioning the point that there are some rules in Sigmar that are opposite in 40k, like complete 180s in direction. I mean, they're not the same game, so I understand differences and divergences, but in game systems that are so overwhelmingly similar, I can understand that being difficult, especially if you're someone who engages both games very frequently, or at least just frequently enough to forget. I mean, like, that's how I feel about, like, kill teams largely.
Right.
Like I play kill teams, but I play just not frequently enough that I do forget things. So it's frustrating for me sometimes when I can't recall. I'm grasping for straws.
Yeah, I actually have, I'll see if I can pull it up while we go, but I made a spreadsheet of all the differences from Age of Sigmar to 40k. And I pulled it up pretty naturally, so let me tell you about it.
So on the 40k list, it does say that the game is better, right?
No, no. I'm glad that I have Kat in here, because Kat will totally back me up.
There's people that are, I get it.
Yo, but check this out. Here let me rant off a number of things that are different from 40k and Age of Sigmar. So in Age of Sigmar, models must have a 1-inch coherency instead of 2.
I kind of like that.
Which, so things are a lot closer together. The hero phase is where you cast your powers, and that happens before the movement. So psychic, it goes movement, psychic, and 40k.
Before we move forward, Black Tower mentions Kill Team and Age of Sigmar are more similar to each other than Kill Team or than Age of Sigmar and 40k.
I'd say particularly is referring to the fact that the turns are undecided.
More variable.
The turns are variable.
With the initiatives and whatnot.
I think that's the main thing.
For listeners that don't know, for the 40k people that don't know,
combat too.
Initiative, like, you know how one player goes first in 40k. Age of Sigmar is not the only game system like this, but you have to actually roll to determine who has the first turn every single round.
Yeah, Shadespire does it too. There's certainly more game system than not just GW.
No, yeah, absolutely.
It's a flavor, and I bet in game designer terms it has even like an acronym to it or a name style.
Probably.
But another thing that makes it similar to Age of Sigmar and Kill Team together is the combat phase. I was telling you about this a minute ago, where even in 40k, if you charge, all your charging models go first. In Age of Sigmar, whoever's turn it is goes first, and then it goes back and forth.
Phase, basically. You get one unit of initiative.
Yeah.
And then after that, it goes to alternating order.
Yep. Which means that if you do a big multi-charge on someone's army, you're going to expect them to get to fight ahead of time before you do. Plus the whole thing about to be engaged with someone, one, you can't move within 3 inches of an enemy model in Age of Sigmar.
Or you're engaged.
Well, you just can't do it. You can only charge to get within 3 or pile in. There's also no consolidate in Age of Sigmar, only a pile in, which is interesting. And so this is like the whole, like, it's the same but it's different. And then when you charge, you have to make the first model you move in the charge has to get within a 1/2 inch versus just an inch, which is strange. And then you count as being engaged if you're within 3 inches.
I also don't think you can do that weird, like, rotate around a base thing.
The way that they read pile in is that you can move no further away than you were to the nearest enemy. So as far as, like,
so you can stay the same distance.
Yeah, you have to at least be the exact same distance, so you can do a rotation around the base.
I remember reading that and being like, man, I wish I could do that in 40k. That would be really, really useful.
Good point, Black Tower. Also, command points is a lot like Kill Team. He's right, because in the beginning of the round you get one command point.
You generate based off your war scroll.
If you have a war scroll battalion, you get an additional one, which is kind of like having a leader in your army. Instead of stratagems being just kind of a big list of them, they more live inside your characters themselves. There is a lot of stratagems and auras that are in Kill Team, or in 40k, that they put within the models of Kill Team, similar to how a lot of the auras and the specialties of your army live within the characters or the leaders of the Age of Sigmar. Good call out, Black Tower. Deny the Witch is a 30-inch. They call it unbinding spells, but it's 30-inch instead of 24. What's sick about Khorne in Age of Sigmar is that their denial, they're like, instead of just like not having psychic, they like also are the no psychic. Like,
yeah, no, Khorne hates psychic.
They have and we knew in 40k, yeah, we know that, but usually they just don't get to participate in that phase at all.
Yeah.
There's no deny. There's like
you almost have to bleed into your allies to have any kind of chance in the psychic phase.
But they let you be pure Khorne all day in Sigmar, and you can deny the shit out of things. Your flesh,
even though you're not using psychic powers, almost all your units are going to be able to.
Like your flesh hounds, like one bloodthirster can do -2 to the or +2 to the deny, and then flesh hounds, if they're within range of a character, you can re-roll the unbinding, and if they're a flesh hound, 10 or more, they get +1 on top of that. Endless spells are dope.
Those are the ones with the models, right?
Yeah. Endless spells are super cool, and that also goes back and forth, alternating between control, depending on who gets to go first and second.
Chicken bone, on that metric as well, anyone who's within 6 inches of a Gene Stealer Cult Magus can deny the witch.
Dude, this will blow your mind. One thing that's really a trip in Age of Sigmar is wounds roll over.
All wounds.
Yes. So you got a D6 damage weapon. That shit just plows through shit, man.
I mean, that makes the things that you pay a lot of points to invest in almost always have a higher return.
It feels good that a guy with his big club isn't just killing one guy really hard. That he's like,
sometimes killing one guy really hard is very satisfying.
When it's little pissants, you want those guys to die appropriately.
Sometimes I want the last pissant to die an extremely agonizing death.
Well, if he's the last one, then you will.
If he's been particularly insulting to my existence.
You can always target characters in Age of Sigmar, but if you're within 3 inches of a model of a unit that is 3, or it has to be a unit that's 3+ in model count, and then that just means a -1 to hit.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's only a -1 to hit mechanic versus leaders, and only if they're within 3 inches of a unit that's 3 or more models.
That's cool. That makes sense.
It's pretty interesting, but there's not a lot of shooting, so that you're not expecting to get them capped out super easy.
Yeah.
I haven't gone against heavy shooting yet, and that's where the murder host is really going to come into play.
Fight them, the Sigmarite Archer people, the Forest Riders.
If you finish deploying first in Sigmar, you just go. You get to choose.
Oh.
And what's crazy about the War Scroll battalions is that when you take a battalion, the entire battalion counts as a.
Deploys as 1 drop.
It's a choice, but yeah. So like they don't have a battalion. You see they have 6 drops. You're like, fuck it, 1 drop, because everything's a 1 War Scroll. I take turn. So it's there's a tactic to take a battalion just for that right alone.
Khadorian Overlords, Taudark.
Yeah, heavy shooting. Good to see you, Taudark. Same. Another thing someone mentioned already. You can shoot into combat, and you also can shoot when you're engaged in combat. Basically, like everything has the pistol rule, but you have to target the nearest thing to you within 3 inches.
That seems excessive, Cat. I mean,
whatever. All day, Cat. 12,000 points. I got like 16,000 points of chaos. We know what's up. We're freaks on a leash. You know what I mean? GW's leash. They got us. More models.
Like a damn choke chain.
Add 1 morale rolls when you pile and you can move. Yeah, someone else already mentioned this too. When you charge is another strange thing. You don't pick your targets. You just straight up roll the charge distance, and then whatever you roll, you can just engage with whatever's in that distance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So is there Overwatch?
No. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the game just flies, man. It's super just like smooth rolling. There's no matching your this is another very interesting mechanic. So say someone has like a behemoth, like this big, something that in 40k would have toughness 8.
Okay.
Right? And this is a flesh hound with like a strength 4 model, right? Usually it would be 6s to wound against this titan. But in Age of Sigmar, you always roll a wound, whatever it is it says you rolled a wound as.
Yeah, so it's almost like a hit roll.
Yeah, so like it'll say your 3s to hit and your 4s to wound. Doesn't matter what the target is. So that's a really interesting thing to wrap my head around.
So generally good stuff is probably wounding on 2s, where like average stuff.
There was very little hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s. I started to see.
I imagine there's little.
Yeah, there is, yeah. I was going against some trolls and stuff, and they were just fucking murking. There's a lot of stuff that's like very, very, very brutal. Like roll this, if you hit it, you just kill something. Yeah, we're Warp Charge Sigmar. Yeah, Taudark. I just got I just had my first 2 real life games of Sigmar. I played 3 virtually on Tabletop Simulator months and months ago. But Korn is getting a new battle tome, and we just filmed our first Age of Sigmar tournament this past weekend, and I just got pumped up, and I've been wanting to diversify there. I know there's a large Age of Sigmar crowd out there, and I'd like Warp Charge to get to participate with them. Yeah.
It's not like 2 people.
Honestly, Chris pushed me to Age of Sigmar. I got tired of hearing about Gene Stealers, and I was like, screw you guys, and I'm going to play Sigmar.
Oh man, you know what? I'm someone that talks a lot of smack to the Sigmar crowd because I feel like that's what we're used to from the classic 40k gamers. Is like them being like, there's more of the sci-fi nerds and the fantasy nerds. But no, Sigmar is a cool game system.
Man, I'm in love, and yeah, you guys are going to see a lot more of it. And in fact, I plan on throwing some events for Warped Charge Gaming very soon, and looking forward to that. I was reading a little bit about, it appears, and tell me if anybody out there can call out to this, maybe you know, Kat, I think that the ITC Championship missions are identical for both 40k and Age of Sigmar. I saw that they had a very nice pack on the ITC page about running an event and what an Age of Sigmar tournament should look like. They talked all about, you know, the protocols and etiquettes of tournaments, but it appeared the missions are the same. Is that accurate? Would you all know? Dirty square basers, yeah, just like the fruit booters. Nobody, the skateboarders hated the rollerbladers.
I mean,
we all like to ride.
Dark, George, in my experience, is still largely a dirty square baser, though lately he's had the converters.
Yeah. Yes, so very excited. But I mean, I'm still all about some 40k.
There's a lot that's happened in 40k.
We got a team tournament coming up this very weekend, 2 days, two days away.
So team tournament, we have, you know, a 2,000 point tournament, 1,000 points for you and 1,000 points for your teammate. I got not a practice game, but I got in a game against my teammate today for Saturday.
Take a look at Chris being super stoked from the last tournament.
I was super excited.
Cat, there's some Dragonfire Game Cats there. We got Lobo and David and Cole and I think Aaron. Some new cats to the crew. Everybody had a good ass time. It was a 44-person event. We are hosting up to 60 people for this one. We're getting close to, we're over halfway, I think, through our...
Ooh, did you see the ITC changes?
Yes, I knew that they were coming. Are they in effect at this point?
They have made the official announcements in terms of, not the mission secondaries.
Oh, okay. We don't have the secondaries locked yet.
No. They made an announcement, I think, today.
Yeah.
They are going to start weighing RTTs and smaller events more and stuff like the Vegas Open less because they have seen that, you know, people are not happy with the fact that, you know, like
that's a big deal.
You can play intensely all season long, and then, you know, basically the Vegas Open determines.
I know that I was doing some reading on that actually, and I know that the European crowd calls the ITC system pretty much the American system, due to the fact that without going to LVO, you pretty much had no chance of scoring in a high fashion.
I mean, and unfortunately, that's a sad reality of it.
But they're making efforts. They're very good about saying that this is a living, breathing thing.
They are anti-weighing the Vegas Open, so the Vegas Open is going to be worth less.
Yeah.
Period.
Respect.
Because they already know that, like, it's weighed too heavily. RTTs and small events, all the way up to even, you know, like our event that was 44 people, they're all going to be worth way more, is what I'm told.
Yeah. Respect.
I think they're opening it up some fashion so playing more events can help you get more points. I mean, that was already the case, but it capped out at a certain point.
They need to make they better say something about putting Kill Team in the 2019 ITC season.
They should.
Yeah, because it wasn't, they said, we'll get to it, but damn it, give us some Kill Team. I love this game.
They ought to, I mean, there was a list of changes I saw the ITC guys make announcements for. I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday. Since I quit my job most recently, all kind of time runs together for me, if I'm honest.
I do know what you're describing. There's also conversation of the secondaries coming together as well.
Yeah, they're getting some new secondaries and stuff rehashed out. Some that we've seen in the past, like I think Gangbusters is coming back.
Okay, yeah, I like that one because it makes sense a lot of times. There's definitely appropriate, like Talos and... Yeah.
And they've changed it though that Swarm specifically, you can't score for Gangbusters.
Okay.
So it has to be...
Oh, okay.
It's every 6 wounds you take off of multi-wound units.
Okay.
You get a point.
Yep.
But swarms don't apply.
Yeah, so no Nurglings. Or Rippers or whatever.
Correct.
Right. You know, speaking of the ITC and updates and things, another couple interesting topics we're going to talk about is one, the Gene Stealer Cult had an FAQ drop.
That was actually, so I don't know if you follow the drama much on that. It was kind of a dramatic FAQ.
Yeah.
Because Games Workshop released multiple FAQs.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was really...
unprofessional. It's because they had one thing say, they had a different thing on the Facebook.
What was strange is that the FAQ that had less changes and was less restrictive was the correct one.
Oh, here we go. We got some, one, Taldark just did a sick burn. Nice job, Taldark. I mean, we're being honest with ourselves, George. I'll be the top East Coast player for ITC Kill Team.
Man.
I'm trying to think of what event that Taldark got to do that would already count him ahead of the game. Because 2019 just began, and I guess you played at LVO, Taudark? And that would be, but LVO is technically the end of the season. LVO is like the Super Bowl of...
Isn't that for Kill Team, though?
Well, that's just how they run all of their ITC.
Okay.
All the events turn over. LVO is like the finale of the season. And then so going forward, we have just began. So if anything, I don't know of a major you might have hit. Taudark, what'd you hit? Otherwise, just be RTT. And I'll get you yet, buddy.
Taudark is like, yo, George isn't even...
He just called me out, dog.
He did.
Taudark, I need to see you at Adepticon and Nova. We got some bones to pick. I got 5 different events I'm playing at Adepticon, which is right around the corner, dude.
Wait.
Yeah.
Adepticon is coming up?
Yeah, we're going there.
Oh, shit. Who else is coming?
Everybody's going, dude.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
I know we're going to have some homies from the chat here. But
okay, shout out to a few people I've met in Tennessee. Mr. Steven from the Valley and whatnot. They're actually driving up to Adepticon because I literally have talked it up as much.
Sick.
But they were like, yeah, like we're just going to buy event tickets to come hang out. I was like, I mean, like...
Good move.
They were like, they've never been to a GT before or whatever. I was like, listen.
It's a spectacle.
This was, like, if you have not done it yet, do it.
Right, for sure. Like Taudark said, event life. But yo, speaking of event life, like Adepticon and whatnot, so we know about, we're going to talk in detail about the Gene Stealer thing. Just because it's short and sweet, there was James had pointed out some special sauce that's now kind of floating to the interwebs now about the Zangors and getting to, apparently they slid by at LVO with a interesting rules as written versus rules as intended situation.
I mean, listen, what I've seen described to me, that makes sense.
The Zangors can take a Brayhorn that gives them +1 to their advance and charge.
Is that the index one or is that the codex?
I forget the name versus the index versus the codex.
Yeah.
But bottom line, the Brayhorn that gives you the +1 advance, +1 charge. There's another thing that's like a horn blower or something in the index that does the exact same thing but with different wordings.
They basically
different titles. Yeah.
They've renamed the same rule twice.
Yep. Which they with the way that the flow chart goes.
It doesn't seem like that's the intention. However, I mean, as Games Workshop has officially put out there's literally a Games Workshop flowchart that talks about war gear and whatnot.
It lets you take both the index and the core.
If you have an option in the index that you don't have in the codex, you don't lose that option.
Right.
So it's unless the codex specifically states otherwise or rewrites a rule, you have both.
Yep. Now, if they rename the thing, or I'm sorry, if the name exists in both, but they do different things, you have to take the new name. And because these two pieces of war gear that do the same thing have different names, you're able to take them both.
There's actually, like for example, in Tyranids, there's 3 different sources of -1 to hit aura. Mm-hmm. One of them is from the Forge world. One of them is not. The one from the Forge world specifies that it doesn't stack with the other variant, but the other 2 are named the same, but are from different sources. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it very much like that. That's a streamlined kind of thing.
Yeah. So you end up getting to stack the abilities. So that's an interesting thing. Where I want to see if that's going to get clarified. I wonder if it'll be in play at Adepticon. It's definitely raising some stink as people have varying opinions. And then the one I keep getting hit up about this particular subject
the Gene Stealer cult thing?
Yeah, for our own tournament coming up and for the events coming up. I'm going to put some images up there for you. There's a lot to read. On the far right, let's kind of read through it here. It says, you can emerge from Cult ambush more than 9 inches away, disregarding stratagems at the end of any movement phase with units in the underground. Variant of Cult ambush, right? So you put some guys in Cult ambush and they can arrive more than 9 inches away. Tactical reserves, state tactical reserves in match play games, units that are not placed in the battlefield during deployment in order to arrive on the battle mid-game as reinforcements cannot arrive on the battlefield during the first battle round. Okay, cool. But the stratagem, they came from below, makes...
up to 3 units. You basically take them from ambush, which is not reserves, because they've FAQ'd it so that when you put ambush reserves on, that's the blip marker reserves. Blip markers now count as being on the board.
Right, which is this errata here. In match play, units set up in ambush using this rule count as being set up on the battlefield for the. Yep. So the models that are on the blips.
And it says for the purposes of tactical reserves, which is not the same thing as the 50% rule, because that is a very important distinction. That's actually because originally I was very against what I would consider kind of a liberal interpretation of this reading of the rules. Essentially, I thought originally that this was just letting you get past the 50% points on the board rule, because you could start something on the board and then after the game started, switch it into the 9-inch reserves, the underground reserves. But based off the rules, it actually ends up bypassing the turn 1 restriction. So you can take up to 3 units you set up in your blip markers.
Because you already are on the battlefield. Because
you're already on the battlefield, up to 3 units you can have show up from underground reserves turn 1.
Yep.
So 9 inches away. This is essentially saying that Genestealer Cult has a way to have up to 3 units.
I think this makes sense. I mean, one, like they said that, like, don't, you know, we're taking this away from Genestealers, because when they first made the turn 2 only thing, Genestealers were the exception.
Yeah, they always, it's always felt like, even in a lot of the stratagem wording, they want the Genestealer Cult player to feel like they were already there.
Right.
You know, like they had the home field advantage per se. I mean, whatever fluffy validation reason you need, but it's clearly, and it's reflected in the stratagems. There's supposed to be that kind of intent in how the army plays. I mean, the army is very glass hammerish, glass cannonish.
Right.
So, like, if it doesn't have a way to cross the board, I'm not saying it's bad, because it's a very good codex, regardless of this stratagem ruling, in my opinion. But that really is one of the defining kind of stratagems. If it lets you get turn 1 reserves, that takes it from a good codex to an excellent codex.
Right.
And like I said, I was originally kind of in the camp against that ruling. But after being shown, especially the big thing is where it's in italics, tactical reserves, that's the big defining term where it is not referring to just the 50% rule.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of defined in other places.
It all reads pretty cut and dry. I think anybody like kind of questioning this subject, especially with the, I mean, they made it cut and dry when they put the FAQ out.
That's another big, well, the FAQ was a primary component to it, but then on top of that, on the Facebook page, Games Workshop has actually made a Facebook post and been like, yeah, this is the way, like yes, you people that are saying this is the way you read it, confirm. This is the way we are saying it.
Right.
So Games Workshop on their Warhammer 40,000 page has said, yes, up to 3 units can get the turn 1 charge.
Yeah, and that back when, every time I've always played Cult with, you know, that was the thing, is you're ready, you need to be ready for that to happen.
Absolutely.
So I don't feel any sort of weird qualms about them being able to do it, even though they have a great book and have a lot of shenanigans, and that's just one more thing, and then Chris just gonna be super happy. Just, oh, I killed this person, I killed that person. Screw you guys, I'm playing Sigmar.
Yeah, so those of you that don't know, by the way, this is unrelated, but the Genestealer Cult is really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to harp on that FAQ for a second, because, you know, once again, what is this magic soda can that George has floating in front? But it's a Mountain Dew. It blocks out the green screen. But anyways, so the Genestealer Cult finally got an FAQ. It caused a lot of problems on the FAQ page because Games Workshop did something funky. They released 2 different versions of the FAQ, one on the Facebook page and one on the Games Workshop errata page.
Right.
And not what a lot of people would expect. The one on the Facebook page is the one that is correct. And they finally fixed it. Now there's only one format in circulation. But what was really weird is that one of them had the mental onslaught, like crazy psychic death beam power.
Yeah.
Capped out at 6.
Which seemed reasonable to me.
Which seems like not the worst change in the world.
Yeah.
I was a little bit expecting a nerf to the power, even though I thought it was unjustified, admittedly. But I guess what Games Workshop has officially said is, hey, we were considering nerfing this power, but after seeing community commentary and seeing some playtesting, we've redacted that FAQ. And so the power is still unmodified. Other big changes in this FAQ besides the reserve change. So blip markers now count as being on the board, which is huge because before this, the blip markers were awful. Yeah. They were not good. Everyone I saw in bat reps, including on the Warhammer 40,000 page, was playing it incorrectly as far as rules as written. So like everyone kind of expected them to do this in FAQ. It wasn't a huge shock, but it's good to see. Brood Brothers, so all of your Astra Militarum stuff, You can use regiment orders. You just can't use the regiment. You can use orders. You can't use the regiment-specific ones.
Now, could you even touch that before FAQ?
No.
Oh. So
no, it was a buff.
Yeah, it sounds like only good things there.
It was a buff because the original FAQ to Cult before the Codex was that you can't use orders, you can't use any of this.
Yeah.
But Games Workshop even came out in a sticky post, kind of like with the other thing, and was like, hey, this is how we intend this based off the FAQ. Check our post, you know, like this is what we mean. Like you will get orders, you get a lot more benefits than we really thought. Honestly, Astra Militarum for Cult was originally kind of written off by a lot of players as not super good. They're pretty decent. I don't think they're necessarily auto-include by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But it's originally when they came out with the Codex, a lot of people that were at least like leaning towards the competitive scene were going like, oh, Astra Militarum has no place in this army. Now they're kind of like, okay, like, you know, like it's a valid consideration, which is respectable because you want options that the Codex has to be, you know, valid.
Yeah.
The Codex really didn't take any nerfs in the FAQ, only got buffs, I thought. I'm pretty happy with everything.
So you had a game today versus the Death Krieg, didn't you?
I got in a game against my doubles partner.
Yep.
It was a glorious game. He kicked my teeth in turn 1 with his, I think it was a Shadow Sword.
Okay.
He had his Death Corp of Krieg, which I was very concerned about. Usually, like very shooty heavy armies, I'm concerned about. I don't have a lot in my style list. It's a lot of MSU that is screening a lot of characters, and he made me pay for that turn 1. He killed my Warlord turn 1, my Assassin turn 1, one of my Locust characters turn 1. Like, I deployed thinking, oh, I'm going to have enough screen for this. And he was like, let me prove you wrong. And he did.
Yeah.
I paid very heavily turn 1. But then when I came in turn 2 with my reserves, I mean, I picked up his super heavy like it was a joke.
Okay.
Barons are the truth, especially, so like my Barons, they had exploding 6s. But I popped 2 command points to also, on top of that, have exploding 5s because it's an Imperium army.
Okay.
So on 5s, I was getting two automatic hits. On 6s, I was getting 3 automatic hits.
Jeez.
On a unit that was already putting out like 42 attacks.
Jeez, that's nuts.
It's a lot. And I mean, I basically looked at his Baneblade and was like, it's dead.
Wow.
It was, even on the Overwatch, I think he killed 2 of my 10 models, and I still was like, no, you're still dead.
Yeah. Dang, they pack a punch, man.
I mean, it's a 250-point unit.
Still.
And I have 2 of them in the army.
That's heavy-duty punching.
They hit like a Mack truck.
I mean, that's like a Gorkanaut cost for the orcs, and it definitely doesn't just take down a knight. And
I mean, there's a lot of buffs involved, like a lot of aura weaving and characters. Like I had one character when he comes in from reserves for Cult. You choose only the first time you come in from reserves, because you could put him back in reserves and deep start him again. But the first time you come in from reserves, you pick an enemy unit within 6, and any cult within 6 of that character reroll 1s to wound.
Okay.
But I give this character a Warlord trait that gives +3 to his auras, and he also is a character that gives +1 to hit.
Yeah, all that sounds very.
So I come in 9 inches away from an enemy, give all my army reroll 1s to wound against the enemy that I come in 9 inches away from, and then also give everything within 9 +1 hit. There's a lot of really nasty tools. I mean, I don't mean to put you on the endless feedback cycle of Genestealer Cult is amazing.
No, I get it. Yeah,
but,
they're amazing.
I mean, you know, one of our friends, Ryan Zell, you know, he recently picked up Tyranids.
Right.
He bought like 15
I was like, oh god,
Tyranids for like some like minor amount of money. And I was like, oh, I'm so excited because you have no idea how much fun you're about to have.
I was like, oh, great, more bugs and their buggy bug shit.
I want bugs crawling in everyone's brain. Everyone watching our live show, all 12 of you, if you're like on the fence about an army, Tyranid/Genestealer Cult, you'll have so much fun. I mean, or play Age of Sigmar too, because we're about to have a budding, you know, like streaming content channel of that as well. But you know what, like, buy some Skaven, convert them up to also be Tyranids and Genestealer Cult.
That works.
I don't know, just make it work.
You can play Kill Team too. You know, I like Tyranids and Kill Team because they're not everything that Chris knows and loves. It's something different. Speaking of Kill Team, we were talking about the arena board. I just found this picture I want to show you. Here's what a sweet board looks like with simulated walls. That's at least trying to make a 3D world. If you don't put the effort forth to get a little bit of immersion into your board there, then it is kind of lame, Arena. Screw just playing on a 2D board. I don't like that direction, and I'm surprised the Games Workshop didn't come out with optional walls themselves. I really look forward to
I didn't really think about it before right this second, but
Yeah.
it is shocking when you say that they don't build more of those kits, because it feels like they sell a lot of really useless terrain. Like, I don't mean to like nitpick, because some of it's really cool looking. Like, what is it, like the weird like warp infused Eldar tree things?
Right, I don't like those.
I think they're super cool. I'm not the biggest fan, but I think, you know, like it plays to the aesthetic of like there are weird shits in the universe.
I've never got to see a board in person that I liked. It seems like every time I ever see a picture of one, they're very like Crayola, Fisher-Price looking.
They're
like,
very multicolored-ish generally.
yeah, they don't seem very alive, foliagey.
They don't fit very well with a lot of boards, like you kind of said.
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
If someone were to build like a very like jagged glass world-ish kind of place with this kind of terrain, with these harsh angles and bright, vibrant colors that was disrupted, I could see it like in a Harlequin board.
Yeah.
Which is very much like, that's almost like the, you know, the web way, everything their whole realm is very like psychedelic. That's a good description. But you know, I don't know. It's hard to fit it. Like, I'm super excited. For those that don't know, I'm finally gonna be picking up my Tyranid board, I believe.
Yes.
When we go to Adepticon.
Yeah.
Which, I'm gonna have the best Tyranid board on the planet. Like, I saw actually. Okay, I don't know what. It's an up and coming war stream, but they are using a few of the
3D Horizon 3D.
Not Horizon 3D. Worlds Overrun.
Oh, okay.
A few pieces as their Tyranid terrain too, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna have an amazing Tyranid board," and I'm like, "Okay,
yeah,
sit down. You don't even know what you're walking into. You just like you think you're the big one on the scene. I've already had this on lock. Like, the internet doesn't even know yet, but I have the best Tyranid board.
The illustrious James Schaff has done some mad work on Chris's board. I'm also picking up a very sick, full-blown Space Wolves Kill Team board that's all multi-level, three-dimensional that he's been working on, and we're also getting a whole table where the World's Overrun terrain painted up in Nurgle fashion. It's going to be insane. So really looking forward to doing that. We're going to be driving back home with that once we go out on our mission to Adepticon to pick it all up. I'm going to be doing a bunch of Kill Team there. You know, it was cool. I've gotten a look at the Adepticon missions for Kill Team. Yeah. And once again, signed off on the bottom, the rule packet written by GW.
That's super cool.
It's the second time they've done a Kill Team packet. And very tight to see them so interwoven with the rule set, and they're practically the Nova Open missions with the additional secondaries they created for Arena. So definitely the Arena objectives are very much like playing the mission packets, and for people transitioning between the two, it'll be very natural.
Taudark. You know what, man? maybe that's my next commission, honestly, because this is a hefty. This is a hefty investment on just a board. I think what I'm paying for this board, I mean, it's going to be an amazing board.
It definitely wouldn't be too difficult to do that though, because like I said, we're designing the walls to the Arena set, and we already have the Worlds Overrun, which is very Tyranid-esque.
You're right.
We could easily intermix and just kind of put the pieces next to each other.
Especially with some of the stuff that I'm already going to have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it could happen, but there's also a few.
We'll definitely be playing some Kill Team.
There's even one or two things I've promised for giveaways at this point that are kind of far off still. But there's a few things that I got to put away a few dollars for, Mr. Taudark.
Yeah, we got some exciting things for sure. I cannot wait to play Kill Team amongst that Tyranid terrain, though. It will be super dope. It may not be Arena traditional, but it will practically be the same difference. We could have some doors involved, maybe Rogue Trader-esque. Sphincters, strange, yeah, but yes, that too.
It's a door.
Right. So Kill Team, Age of Sigmar, 40k, Genestealer Cult, Adepticon. These are all the things. We've got some jerseys on the way. Really excited about those.
Those are super cool.
That's gonna be cool.
I really like them.
We got 22 Warp Charge gamers that got some customized jerseys. So we're gonna be rolling deep this year with our team shirts. Looking forward to that. Cannot wait to throw down with you guys at Adepticon. Yeah! Sweet, Taudark is coming. I'm super stoked. Great, man.
Taudark, I will
cheers.
be happy to throw some dice with you, sir.
Hell yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I should be bringing the giant Space Wolf board into the venue.
The giant Space Wolf board.
It's gonna be
The
amazing.
one with that sky shield thing.
Yeah, I wish I had an easy access to a picture.
I know what it looks like. I mean, it's sad for the internets because they can't really.
Well, the packet for LVO was different than Nova, so if they have another one for Adepticon, that would be the third different packet. They also rewrote. They wrote the rules for GW, huh? They signed off at the LVO as well.
They did.
Well, that's awesome. I'll see if I can find you guys a Space Wolf board while we float about here. Thanks for shouting out, though, Nako. I haven't seen you shout out before, bro. Glad to have you on the channel. Thanks for watching.
You guys, by the way, I haven't posted any pictures or sent any in a fashion that we can present. I mean, I am not the illustrious James Schmoff, which we may see a picture of shortly based off something I just saw, but because he's in weather. But I've been painting a lot of Gene Stealer Cult stuff recently.
Yeah?
I painted my Abominant, Alexis, a Clamvus, a Nexus. Why
are all the names so close to one another?
Because that's how games.
Stupid Gene Stealer Cult.
Well, it's actually something that a lot of people are complaining about for Gene Stealer Cult. Almost all the characters are like Locus, like L-O. It's like Nexus, like N-E-X-U-S.
Don't like it.
Locus. But one of them is O-S instead of U-S.
Aberrants versus Abominants. Go to hell. I don't care. I'm never even going to know which one's which. It's so dumb. Stupid Gene Stealers and their stupidness.
Listen, they're great.
Keep telling me about how much they suck, Chris.
Speaking of how awesome they are today.
Oh, great.
Did I mention I don't think I mentioned the result with me and my doubles partner, Hagen. I've played 6 games with Gene Stealer Cult now.
Yeah.
I've won 4 of them.
Yeah.
I've lost 1 of them, and today I had my first draw with them. For an ITC game, it was still a very high-scoring game. It was 26-26.
Poop a scoop.
Maybe not high-scoring, but generally I feel bad if I score like 20 points. 26 is respectable.
Yeah.
That's the kind of game where if you lose, it's not going to put you out on points because people will win games with less points.
Fair.
But that was a good game. We both, I dominated the primaries. He capped out his secondaries. I was 2 points short on the secondaries. Literally 1 dice roll in multiple occasions could have swung the game. For example, 2 of his units that were marked for death survived by rolling a 6-up invuln to keep them alive. Conversely, I had an aberrant charge a tank that only had like 2 wounds and he whiffed with all of his attacks.
Yeah.
And when he should have just been like, oh, let me just throw this tank off into the sunset.
It's because he's a stupid Gene Stealer.
He's not super smart.
I'll go hammer.
Even on the fluff, he has a little psychic familiar. The Patriarch gives him that psychic familiar because he's too stupid to like be okay by himself. Like he needs someone to guide him to attack things.
Yeah, dummy.
But what do I think of?
What do you think about the potential for conversion potential?
I'll be honest. I'm probably not going to buy any Gene Stealer Cult bikes because I still have like 6 to 8 Space Marine bikes from when I was selling off my Imperial stuff.
Yeah.
You're not wrong, Taudark, but sometimes multitasking is more important.
Stupid Gene Stealers.
And yeah. I don't know. It's a solid army. It's got a lot of conversion potential. Actually, Flippopotamus. Yeah, Flippopotamus. I bought some Pathfinder miniatures today as Locuses because I have 1 official Games Workshop Locus, but I kind of have had it in my head, especially now that we've come out with a female Magus. I want all the official Games Workshop models, but in an army where you're supposed to kind of like subvert the population and like infect them. It would be cool to have more female model representation in the line. So I have a female Locus now. I would like, if we have a male and female Magus, why not multiples of some of the other characters?
Fair.
At least it helps me also differentiate in games. Like, oh well, the female one has this power versus the male one. I think it's a good system.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm biased, especially because one character is $5 versus $25.
Sure.
But you know.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
They're cool models, on top of the fact.
Yeah, respect. Just because I wanted to dig it up for you guys, I got a picture of this kill team board I was talking about. This is in progress here, but you can see the Sky Shield landing pad that James converted to be extra tall. Down at the bottom of it, he has hanging prisoners in cages from chains there, which is super sick. You can see some of the customized tile there. This is all, of course, unpainted. Here's a top-down view from the backside, but this thing has all kinds of nooks and crannies and ways to traverse the terrain there and be on multiple levels. I cannot wait to get this thing fully finished up and seen it. Just like last year, I got the Space Wolves when I arrived at Adepticon, as James finished up the commission. And this year, when we arrive at Adepticon, I'll be seeing this board for the first time. Almost a year in progress here, so cannot wait to see that all finished up with the James shine on that. It's going to be super sick. I'm going to bring that into the Adepticon Hall to get to play some fun runoff games with our homies from the channel here, like Tau Dark and whatnot.
So this is something that I was listening to some podcasts while we were on our podcast. I don't remember if it was the Mob Rules guys or if it was Canhammer, or I was driving up from Tennessee recently, and I listened to like 4 podcasts back to back, so it's kind of hard to figure out which one was which.
Right.
But one of the guys mentioned, he went to LVO and he built this beautiful display board that he would have loved to have kept, but he did not prepare for his, like display board to go to the tournament. So he didn't really have a good way to deliver it without having it damaged more. Yeah. So he actually sold it at the tournament to someone who, could transport it, and, like give it a good home. That's kind of something, like I'm not suggesting that to our viewers necessarily, but like, like especially like if hobby score, like if you were a hobbyist, if you're not there, like, cause like everyone goes to these GTs for different reasons. Some people really want to display the art. If you want to come in there and enter something and not necessarily keep it because you're going to continue to generate content, the people like Cat, for example, who are going to continue to generate beautiful like artistry. It's the perfect place to pawn off some of that artistry.
That's true.
I mean, literally, it was interesting talking to these people or listening to these people talk like, oh yeah, like we sold it to our round 2 opponents. They just agreed to pick it up after, our 6th game. That way, it was already past the paint judging. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, well, that's beautiful. Like there's a display board I have sitting that's like a quarter complete that I really need to finish, especially because it's a Gene Stealer cult, and I started it back in 7th edition. And just never finished it.
Yeah, you reminded me of that Age of Sigmar packet that I was reading from the ITC. They were really cool about breaking down the etiquette of a tournament. And particularly one of the things they talked about is how between round 1 and round 2 would be the traditional time to show off your army on display. And I just thought it was really cool how defined it was. I want to share the link in the chat here. It's called the ITC Age of Sigmar Tournament Format and FAQ. And this document is extremely thought out on how tournaments operate.
Structure is important. People like structure.
So I'm going to send you guys that link there. And then let's see if I can, how good of a producer I am right now. I can potentially, yeah.
Oh my God, I see myself behind myself. What the?
I'll give you guys a quick shot of the screen here because I want to show you this packet. There you go. And yeah, check this out. So it's like social interaction. And then also they had interesting expectations about your terrain and stuff. Whether you're on, there's 3 types of events they define in this document: local, regional, and national. And when you go down further, they talk about what you expect for community growth on a local level, regional level, national level. Player responsibility, both locally, regionally, and nationally. And you can see that they basically just have your bullshit with you in a local level, and then they go up to say, like, make sure you have a copy of the event pack, display board, right? But they go in here and say that if you don't have an ability, note on display boards at event, you might find yourself traveling to an event by plane or other means that would prevent you from being able to bring a display board. Be sure to look at the event pack and reach out to the event staff to see what, if any, effect it could have on your placing in the event. So they've already defined in here in the ITC format just like these kind of norms, and that players, they don't have to get caught off guard by expecting to get best painted when they go to an event. If you just read ahead of time of the kind of prerequisites that go into these kind of situations, you don't got to get surprise attacked. Here's another cool thing about choosing a venue, talking about local, regional, and national expectations of what your venue should be like.
What if your friendly local game store isn't friendly? I mean, I know we don't have
don't
that
know.
problem.
Look at this, though. I thought the terrain needs was really interesting. So it's like in regional, you got to at least have colored fabric. If you're in, it says locally, you're cool with books, cans, or anything you can find laying around.
Well, okay, and see, you know what? Honestly, I mentioned recently some people in Tennessee that I've been talking to.
Yeah.
One of the main reasons I've been talking to this person is this is someone who is very grassroots in his area, who is like the person spearheading, trying to get the organized events. You know, like I think anyone who's organized events themselves, especially in smaller, like suffering communities, it can be a real pain. It can be daunting to get people to come out.
This document is fantastic.
But it gives you, I like this because it gives you realistic expectations.
Yeah, check this out. Like regional, they say 6 to 10 pieces of terrain. National, 8 to 12. I like that expectation. And then I love this picture here. They're like, this is what they said here. Planning out how to win a scenario is key to becoming a great Age of Sigmar player. But we often view scenarios with the idea of terrain, which drastically alters the plan.
And not everyone has the same expectations, so that's a big thing.
Yeah, they call this what do they say? Terrain balance and saturation. So to offer the best chance of balance and fair games. And they have this guidance here, which I just think is great. Talking about painting
used to
standards.
be, okay, so that picture up there?
Yeah.
This is something before your time. I think it was in the 5th and 4th edition rulebook. And I can't show this with my hands like the way I'm showing it to George. But it used to literally be that 25% of the table, like 1/4 of the table,
it should be completely full, and then you disperse
was literally like all terrain, and like you spread that out.
Right,
Like a full quarter of the table in 40k used to be designated as that much is supposed to be terrain. We've kind of lost that designation.
Oh shit, Nako won LVO Kill Team. That's awesome, dude. Did you win with Asherani or the Eldar? Is that what ended up winning? I know that Gellerpox got 4, so I was stoked on that.
We have a Kill Team celebrity. What up, Nako?
That's super cool, man. Congratulations. I got 2nd at Nova last year. Nids, he won with Nids.
Hey, Nako, you know what, man? I like you. You're a good person. All glory to the hive mind and the four-armed emperor. Everyone else is garbage. Go home.
Nice.
No one else. You know what? Thank you.
Yeah. I'm stoked. Are you going to make it to Adepticon, man? Keep fighting for your title there. What about Nova? Maybe we'll get a chance to duke it out, buddy. And Nako, I hadn't seen you on the channel before. Do you catch a lot of our Kill Team content? I feel like we have the most Kill Team videos out there on the net. I don't know.
You know what? It could be a thing.
I take pride in the Kill Team. I love it a lot.
I watch, so I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. I actually just keep throwing on YouTube on my big screen.
Right.
It tickles me the other day because I feel like because of the fact that we have shot traditionally a lot of our videos live on YouTube, it's put us further in the algorithm. Like it's harder to see our videos early. They tend to prefer
the posted
videos.
Yeah.
They tend to prefer that, yes. But like seeing some of our videos crop up in some of the stuff that I'm watching, I'm like, oh man. Like I started watching a video the other day that I didn't realize was us when I started the video, and I was like, fuck that, I was here for this.
Oh, nice. Nice.
They're the best, man. All about that mindless. Yeah, damn right. It's all about that. You know what? All for one, and one for all. That's Tyranids. Go back to Vegas. Kept asking me the cultist spec. Ah, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Wonderful. I love it. I love it. It's awesome to get to make your acquaintance. And great job, Black Tower, for your gold medal situation. I heard you talking earlier about going to your first that event there with a 1,000-point list. Try to bring some fair, friendly things. You end up going against the Forge World.
Rock Lobster is affirming your thoughts.
I know.
More
I didn't even know. I haven't seen Rock Lobster floating around before either. It's cool to see. And nice. Apparently.
When you say cultist spam.
I heard that people are getting pretty hype on cultist spam in Kill Team, and it probably was your comment, Nako. I have not seen as much of that in my local hood, but not saying that we're the most competitive crowd ever around here when it comes to Kill Team. So cultist spam killing 40k, interesting because they did get a point increase. I haven't seen them be, they just got cultists just kept getting nerfed in 40k. Well, so I think he might mean Kill Team.
It's difficult for me because like when people say cultist, Do they mean gene stealer cultists?
Oh,
Do
right.
they mean gene stealer cult? Do they mean... Because, I mean, you know, there's a lot floating around with that label.
Yeah, that's true.
Unquote.
That's true.
Like, you know, the other day I heard somebody say something like, oh, that's because of this Forge World, and I was like, what do you mean? I don't know this Forge World unit. It looks like standard 40k plastic to me. And it was like, oh no, I was playing AdMech. Forge World is what they call their chapter tactics.
Right.
You know, like, words can mean similar things.
Yeah, fair enough.
Aberrance, abominance.
Right, fuckers. Stupid gene stealers and their bullshit. But yo, you know, we're getting close to. We've hit the hour mark, friends.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. I really appreciate you guys hanging out, watching, giving us the conversations that we've had today, and continue in the future. My kill team is real close to your Nova list, George. Nice. Death Guard Pain. I look forward to Adepticon. I plan on bringing in some Gellerpox Infected and Harlequins. I plan to jump between the two factions. Don't expect I'll play anything different than that, but I'm in 5 events, so who knows?
I'm contemplating... There's going to be a tournament coming up, George, where I'm going to have to do the full cosplay thing. And if I do that, that means the head's got to get shaved.
Okay.
For Gene Stealer Cult.
Okay.
But...
Maybe we'll see Chris shave his head. Whoever wants to see that, you know, throw it in the comments below. Shave his head. Shave his head.
The hair is a source of my power, so, you know.
Whatever.
We'll have to see.
I just want him to look like a bald person so I can be like, geez, those suck, Baldy. Anyway.
WT. I could wear a bald cap. You know what? That's true. It's true.
Nice. Anyways, y'all, this is why we're ending the show, because we are just going to start going off into tangents of nothingness. But it's been a great time hanging. Do it, Chris. Shaved 2 feet of hair.
Oh my God, that hurts my heart, man. I've chicken bone, unrelated, but like I've done the chop off like a foot of hair like at least 4 times in the last decade, and like, man, it is the source of my power. Every time I cut it, I'm like, you've gotten so weak.
It needs to come off. Nego, congrats on the Kill Team event, man. Everybody out there, big cheers, big love. Keep taking fun seriously and catch more content here soon. We'll see you guys later. Saturday, tune in. We're going to be streaming all day long.
Yeah. By the way, me and Hagen are going to win that doubles tournament.
Don't expect the Gene Stealers to do well at all. I will, if I get any chance to judge against them, I will. Yeah, you can buy a razor for less than $100. Yeah, yo, we're on the old Black Templars, man. James has those in play as well. James will be in the Friday event. Friday, both morning and evening event. Get that job bone, Samson. Cool, guys. We'll see you here soon. Thanks for everything.